So this is actually the first time I ever broke through. I've taken DMT a number of times, at least 5+ in my life, and it's been about, I'd say 2 years since I have done it. But the first experience, well, I shouldn't say the first few times I had done DMT, I didn't break through. I'd had the vibrating feelings, and the room around me was, shaky and, composed of all these crazy vibrating molecules or whatever. I'm no scientist, but anyway, the one time I did break through, it was different. I remember going, you hit the DMT, you hold it in. If you've had any kind of experience with it before, you know what that's like. So I'm going to skip over the part of, smoking it. But I smoked it. Actually, yeah, we smoked it out of a pipe. And I broke through, went through the tunnel, and I broke through to the other side. And it was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. Like, I've never experienced anything as powerful as that before. And what happened was, when I broke through, it was like, I don't remember exactly where I was, but I know I was in a bed, and I'd lost control of my body, so I had laid back. I was laying down at this point, and just the trip was just taking hold. So I blasted off, and I didn't have a body anymore. It was like I was a floating ball of just pure conscious energy, and it's like I could see in front of me, behind me, and to either side of me. It was like 360-degree vision. I could just see everything all around me, and I was in this like I don't know how to explain it. It's almost like another sphere, but it was layered with colors. It's just colors all around, rainbows all around me. They were all like vibrating, like rippling, as if like they were a pond. And out of this ripple, this being appeared, and this being had a humanoid shape, but it didn't look like a person. It didn't look like an animal. It didn't really look like anything other than a composition of colors that took shape. And this, whatever this was, emerged from this rainbow of rippling effect that I was seeing, and it came out and had a triangular shaped head. It almost looked like I remember this trip so well because I immediately drew a picture of it afterwards, because I was just awestruck. It was incredible. And this being emerged from that and looked like had the shape of this sci-fi alien. It had like 3 fingers. They were all like rounded at the tips. I remember specifically rounded at the tips. And it came out, and I remember it had its 3 fingers or whatever, and it was looking at me. It was pointing at me, and it wasn't talking. It was very strange. It was more like a telepathy kind of thing. It was like beaming information to me, or my whatever I was, that floating ball of consciousness. It was like beaming information to me, and and I'll never forget this. It was just basically saying that we are, and it was a heavenly thing. It wasn't scary at all. I actually felt more at home than I ever had in reality, which is crazy to me. So it was definitely like a godlike type experience, and this thing said, you and I are the same. Your friends are the same. Every single molecule or atom that makes up everything around your physical reality is what we are, is what they are. It's all the same thing. It said, you're God, I'm God, everything is God. And it was such a profound thing, and it was like just pointing its finger at me, just beaming this information to me, and it was absolutely incredible. And I'm not gonna say it had, the information itself had really just shook me, but I remember being dropped back down into my body. Like it was like someone, it was like I was in this cup up here in some hyperspace thing, and my body's down here laying down, and this is a glass and this is a glass, and someone's just pouring my soul back into my body as I was let down from this trip. Because a lot of the rest of it's a blur, but I specifically remember seeing that being, remembering at least that note, you know, that we are all one, or whatever. And I don't know, just that information, just it changes you. You know, you don't look at life the same. Whenever I hear people talk, or I, you know, just go about my day-to-day life in this physical reality, it's like I'm talking to myself. You know, not me as myself, but just as me in another form, or, you know, and there's a certain amount of respect you get for people, whether they understand that or not. You know, you still like, well, that's part of the experience of being human, and it changes you in that sense, and you look at the world differently for sure. But yeah, it was just an incredible experience. It's really hard to come to a conclusion about what I'm trying to get at. It's just an explanation of the experience, but I figured it was one that I should share, and one that I should document for future reference, for anyone that might be interested in knowing about experiences like this. And everyone has different experiences. I've had people say that they've met God and it was the greatest, most heavenly experience, and I've also seen stories where people say they met the devil or whatever, this or that. And like I said, I've done DMT a handful of times, or at least broken through a handful of times. I've done it, you know, probably at least 10 times, if not more. But I've only broken through a handful of times, and through those breakthroughs, it's always been like I was being shot straight to another dimension that was heaven-like or heavenly, and it was beautiful. Each time I broke through, like, I don't know. I remember one time we had a headphone splitter. I was with one of my friends, and we had dabbed it. It dabbed the DMT, which I strongly recommend to anyone that is looking to break through. Dabbing it is amazing. I don't remember the amount we took, because it had been a couple years at this point since I'd even done DMT, or any psychedelic for that matter. Thanks to acid for bad trips, you know, kind of turns you off. But everything's a-okay now. Either way, I remember we had the headphone splitter, and we put it on. We were listening to music, and we blasted off together. We had one of our friends hit it, and everyone else left the room and let us experience it on our own. And we were both just laying back. We were on this couch, both just conked out, like, you know, our mouths like wide open, like this. And I remember, like, we were both in this heavenly chamber together or whatever. And I couldn't see my friend, but it's like, the way the colors and the rainbows were moving, which has always been like a rainbow kind of experience for me, but it was like our brains like did this thing and just melded together. And at that moment, which is one of the last things I remember from that trip, because if anyone's taken DMT, they know what it's like to not have a very helpful memory with those kind of things. But I just remember our minds merging, and we got back down from the trip, and we just looked at each other like, yeah, man, like, we're one and the same. Like, there's no disputing that. So it's a beautiful thing to experience, and you become more empathetic towards other people. I've had people say that they think that they're psychic or something. I don't believe that. I believe what is what is, you know, at least in our physical reality. But beyond that, when it comes to consciousness and just energy itself, I mean, hell, even this little rock, you know, it's all part of what we are, and what you are. At least for my own experiences, it seems that way to me. and you can create a deeper understanding for human beings. And I don't know, it makes life worth living because it's something to think about, something to ponder, and without that, what is life? You know what I mean? We're meant to experience it. But in conclusion, I would say it's definitely worth a shot if you are interested. And yeah, I really feel like I met God. I feel like in my terms, that place I went to each time I broke through was heaven, and it was an amazing experience. I've probably said that 10 times now, but it really was. It really was. Thank you for watching. This is actually my first video I'm ever going to be posting. So yeah, thank you.